Hey y'all, it's Renegayde. I'm back, and I'm COVID free. And it's time to spill more reality on all the FUN fun that the ninth week of Big Brother 26 had to offer. But first, let's bring in my junior AI replacements and introduce our co-casters. First off, he went from our number one draft pick to our first eliminated from the draft. Sorry to bring it up though. It's Doug Dimmadab. Doug, I'm really sorry about your draft team being eliminated first here, but how are you holding up after that eviction we just experienced?
I hope that Angela wipes the floor out of all of them because they do not deserve to win.
I mean, you still have a chance to win if Angela wins, so you never know. You never know. Well, I mean, I guess we all lose if Angela wins, so technically we all win. I don't know. Before we get into some math here, let's go ahead and introduce our other co-caster here tonight. He's Jankie's biggest fan. It's QuackrrJack. Jack, you just narrowly survived having your draft team exterminated as well. How are you feeling tonight, seeing who our second juror is?
Jankie, Jankie, you love me. I'm doing amazing. So glad that the House of Guests made the right decision to get rid of T-Core, as they even mentioned themselves that they don't think anyone could beat her in the end. And that is a good enough reason to get rid of someone in Big Brother. And even if she hasn't been playing the best game, she clearly has an amazing social game. Well, or did.
Ooh,
So I'm doing great.
post-mortem already. I think you're just enjoying the high of singing that Janky song. It's a little too much, Jack. Um,
I love the Jankie.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I felt this week was more than just a little janky, based off of certain strategy decisions from this head of household. I don't think it's necessarily to say that Leah had a horrible head of household reign here, but it was not the actions that I personally would have taken over the course of the week. So that's definitely something we'll get into shortly here. But first, I want to talk about this twist. Overall for this week, since Anzi left us with Janky Bot to take over the week and decides to trap the house guests outside in the never ending carnival. Forcing people to live outside for a week is pretty evil, actually. Like, thank God this was not like a couple weeks ago when we had that heat wave going on. Like, these people would have just melted right into the AstroTurf. But what do we think overall of Janky Week as a twist? And more importantly, what do we think the point of all this was? Was this just a way to make everybody uncomfortable? To maybe make someone go insane and murder somebody? Doug, I want to hear your thoughts first.
I think probably the main reason is to break up the trio of Chelsie, MJ, and Cam because obviously Chelsie has been jealous of MJ and Cam for the past couple of weeks, so having them literally be out there with each other and having to force Chelsie to see MJ just cuddling up with Cam 24/7 probably was they were hoping that maybe she would flip on them.
Jack, do you have any thoughts overall on the twist? Like, what was your thought of the point here?
Um, so the twist of Janky World, in theory, could have been fun. I think they wanted to do similar, I guess, to the Dire Fest, but this was better than Dire Fest in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
it was a little psychological warfare going on here, and I feel like if you're not already crazy, that really is going to work on you, and it worked on a lot of the house guests. So I know they're all happy to be back inside the house for this HOH competition right now.
They're more just happy to be separated from each other, have walls so they can have discussions and not necessarily have people, know where you're at 24/7. I think that would be a big added benefit to all this too. But yeah, I
Well,
mean, I
that
don't
and
think
the
it was.
AC.
I mean, we'll find out. I feel like regardless, I think the social dynamics, at least at this point, seem like they're pretty. I think everybody kind of knows who's with who here. I mean, there's always room for surprises here and there moving forward because who knows, with this cast. But we kind of set the stage for where this week began and kind of see where we end up. Since we know last week we saw the backdoor eviction of Quinn at the hands of Chelsie. Angela and Leah were really the only two left in the dark last week as well. So we saw how determined these two were to win head of household this week, and it was pretty impressive, to be honest. They were all competing in an endurance competition where they have to hold their marshmallow out for as long as possible, with Angela, Cam, and Leah basically being the final three and making a deal to not nominate each other, even though they decided to fight it out. I think they ended up going for almost like what 12 hours. I want to say some ridiculous amount. I know it was like it was daylight when they finished. Um,
I think it was 9 hours and 30 minutes or something like that.
Something like that.
On
Yeah, I don't know.
time.
I don't probably. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think 12 hours is probably like what the same amount as the God, what was the pressure cooker? So probably not that. So probably yeah,
Oh God.
probably a lot less.
Yeah.
But I gotta say it was again impressive to see Angela stay up there for that long too, and Leah too, who I didn't really um I underestimated her for sure as a competitor as well. So Angela basically steps down because she wants one of the other two to experience the head of household experience. So after they have a one-legged tiebreaker that pisses Chelsie off because Cam obviously wants Cam to win. Cam falls here, leaving Leah to become this week's miracle head of household. Like I thought he nearly died when I saw this last Friday. Um, I knew Leah was good, but I didn't realize she was this good at competitions. Like she covered her threat level pretty well, I would say here. Without getting into her decisions, did we expect to see this out of Leah? And how does this change our perception of her game up to this point, knowing that she is this good at competitions?
I mean, for me, I love that Leah decided to just like come online. Like I was like, good for you, girl. This is the time. Like this is, jury time is really a good moment to like start gaining some of that like power, start gaining some like actual moves in the game that people are going to remember. This is a good time because now you're showing the people who are going to be voting for you, like, did you play the game? Were you waiting? Like, some people say, oh, I was floating or oh, I don't want to win it and blah, blah, blah. But, if you never actually really win until the very last minute, were you really waiting or did you just not win anything until there were so few people left that you're just guaranteed to win? And I feel like Leah really, like, turned it on and she said, yeah, I can do this. I just, now that I kind of know the positions of the house better, this is my moment.
So what are your thoughts here, Leah, overall?
I thought it was good that she's actually finally doing good in the challenges. Just her strategic part of using it was just not the greatest.
I mean, I don't think she made a terrible decision. But I do think that she was you have a very few people I think have a very luxury in this game anymore really to kind of coast along is what you do and be able to kind of like switch it on in the middle. It takes a really I think a really aware player to kind of be able to do that, and a lot of times I don't know if Leah did it on purpose or not, just because like I said some of her strategy I wouldn't say she's top tier level strategist as far as I'm saying, because I think she ultimately made a good decision this week, but she did have a massive decision where I don't know if there was really truly a wrong answer, but I do think that there was probably a better answer than the route she took. So obviously, her and Angela are working together here, and they have a final two alliance now called the Lorraines, which is cute. So they both have the same middle name, apparently. And they now find themselves in the middle of two trios. We obviously have the tight grouping of Chemo, Rubina, and T-Core on one side, and the tight yet dysfunctional love triangle of Cam, Chelsie, and Mackenzie on the other. For me, the decision seemed pretty obvious to just blow up the house as much as possible because at this point you don't really have anything to lose as far as I'm concerned. You're already pretty much on the bottom of all of this as far as it's concerning here. So I would say for me, I would have nominated the two leaders of both groups of Chelsie and T-Core. It just makes the most sense to me because not only does that mean the closest link between the two sides are eventually broken, it also gives you the whole week to have the trios campaign for your vote versus allowing them to kind of campaign and make deals with the other trio for safety, which we kind of saw happen a little bit with people making deals with nominees this week across sides. But instead, we learned that Leah said she wants to remain loyal to the fact that Chelsie did not nominate Leah the week before, feeling like the grouping of Cam, Chelsie, and Mackenzie are not as tight, which, to be fair, I get, especially with Chelsie being so jealous over Cam and Mackenzie's harmless cuddling. So, because of this, Leah decides the other trio is her target, nominating Chemo and Rubina to the block. Again, I found this a little questionable because while there are three, more people on the other side of the house that are tight, Chemo, Rubina, and Tikor collectively have won the same amount of challenges that Chelsie and Mackenzie have individually at this point. Like, and Cam is definitely a good competitor here too. He ended up being in the last two for this head household, so clearly he has potential. So I'm a little baffled by Leah's decision here because I don't think again her position really improves that much of this as a result. And if it does, it's with people that have already shown they're going to kind of turn on her. So, do we agree that Chemo and Rubina were the right nominations? And if not, who would you have nominated if you were Leah?
They were not the correct nominations. I think the correct nominations should have been either Tikor and Chelsie, or like Chelsie and MJ. If you want to just focus on one side, focus on like the players that have actually been winning the challenges and that have actually done you wrong. But then if you want to actually target both, put them together and have them try to fight for either you or most likely Angela's vote, because Angela would be the tiebreaker here, since we would only have 5 votes.
I kind of understand the move. No, I fully understand the move, actually. I don't think it's the wrong decision, per se. Maybe it's not what I wanted to see as a viewer. But from Leah's point of view, right? Like, she's kind of had this on and off, like, alliance with MJ, like, kind of the whole time. They've kind of been the outliers of the group, I guess. And it's kind of weird thinking back, they're like, we're gonna get Angela for you, Matt, in week 1 when he gets evicted, and now they're like, Angie's our good girlie. Like, it's kind of funny to watch, right? But as far as Leah's position, it's kind of nice that she did this whole little thing that kind of benefited her relationship with MJ more. And I feel like it did slightly help her relationship with both Cam and Chelsie, who she's had, at least Cam, she's kind of had a thing with throughout the game. It's been on and off, but there's definitely been a decent relationship there between the two of them. So I kind of see it. I mean, obviously she was going to stay true to her word, not put up Cam, not put up Angela, because, if she was going to do that, she'd just be blowing up the whole damn house. And why would you nominate Angela? Like, so far, Angela kind of came for you and did you a little dirty, but she hasn't done enough, right? Where, like, you could make a case for pretty much anyone else in this household. And as much as we want to see her put up that whole Chelsie versus T-Core, like, cause mass chaos, I think playing maybe the more safe route the first time you're the HOH can be beneficial. You know, targeting that trio, because they will always be a group of three. I do see that there is way more flexibility with the other trio. MJ, Cam, and Chelsie, like you said, they have their love triangle. um, MJ and Chelsie have that, like, women of gods alliance going on. Chelsie and Cam have been tight since day one, and MJ and Cam are like an on and off again pair in the house. So it's weird how that dynamic kind of creates these cracks in that alliance, and I don't see it lasting till the end. So if you were going to go for a group to really break up because there's no chance of you really getting in there, it probably was the correct decision to go for Chemo and Rubina's group. Did I want to see T-Core on there immediately? Yeah, I did. But kind of the good news is, without T-Core on there, she knows that T-Core and Chelsie have a good alliance. So maybe this is like a way to, like, only put up people that no one else is really gonna be upset about except for T-Core. So I think this kind of lowers the amount of blood she's getting on her hands, but at the same time is making a big move in the house still. Again, it's probably not the best move she could have made, but later in the week, I do think she kind of makes the best move.
Well, I agree. I think you said earlier it was a safe move. I definitely think it was a pretty safe move. I don't see what there is to gain, at least initially, from her nominations. But I mean, a lot of the times I feel like you put up two people that may be like two goats or two pawns, and then you'll kind of see what happens with the veto. I think that was maybe what Leah was hoping for, and lucky for Leah, production saw this clearly and they were like, you know what, Leah, here's a chance to right your wrongs because there's not just going to be one power veto up for grabs this week. There's going to be two. And I'm like, okay, this was definitely production telling Leah, you know what, you made a mistake. You need to rectify it here, and we're going to give you two opportunities too. And well, guess what? Angela, of all people, ends up winning her third challenge win and her first veto competition here, while Leah secures the Jankie veto, getting second place in the competition, meaning the Lorraines have all the power to basically do whatever they choose to do so this week. At this point, Leah doesn't really want the nominations to change, but Angela, well, she has to be Angela. And this week, she's just really upset that her relationship with Chemo, has gone south the past few weeks. She was voted against Chemo 2 weeks now, and she cannot help herself to feel like she needs to make it up to Chemo because she really does care just so much for him. So that's why she decides to do the Lord's work and take my draft team out of the firing line for the first time in 4 weeks. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Angela. Saving Chemo from eviction. And although wasn't initially what she wanted, this ultimately, again, I think will be the best move for Leah as far as what she does as the replacement nominee, because she nominates T-Core for the first time this whole season. Now Leah is now the only person to remain nominationless, which is amazing here for Leah's resume. Was not expecting that. And the player who looked primed to make a deep run in this game suddenly found herself positioned to be backdoored as the biggest social and strategic threat. Was this the correct move for Leah to make?
Yes, 100%. I think it was 100% the right move to put up T core and take like to fail the janky veto. I mean, she could say she was trying, but like, girl, no, she wasn't. And it just seems like it was everything kind of came together perfectly for her this week. She doesn't use the janky veto, so the blood's less on her hands. Then she has Angela who uses it to get rid of Chemo off the block, and it's like, oh no, who am I gonna put up? Well, my real only options are Chelsie, MJ, or T-Core. And it's like, MJ's your good girl. Chelsie, you said you were being loyal to, and T-Core is part of the trio, so oh no, T-Core has to go up on the block. Like, great decision though for her and for the rest of the house, really, because you are breaking up a voting block and alliance who will never say each other's names. Like, yes, it's the safe move, but it's also the move that makes sense because T-Core is the top of the battle. She is more of the brains behind it. She is the one who's like got the most influence in that group.
I think the opposite. I think that was a very bad move to be loyal to Chelsie, who literally 2 weeks in a row has blindsided you and taken out your top two allies. And instead of actually putting up both T-Core and Chelsie, you're like, oh no, I'm just gonna fail it and not even try and just put up T-Core. Like, what about you saying that you still remember what Chelsie did, what they did, and you just put up T-Core and do the safe route instead of literally taking out the people who've been gunning for you? I think that was very bad by putting up someone who may or may not have put you up versus the people that have actually taken shots at your allies and tried to take a shot at you.
I mean, I'd say that once she had already made the move, like again, the move wasn't probably correct to begin with, but based off of her initial nominations, I don't mind the fact that she just decided to go all in and throw T-Core up, because again, T-Core was probably the next best person for her to eliminate. Again, not the move I would have made here. I definitely would have tried to make sure that Cam or Chelsie or Mackenzie probably would have been to go for sure, but at the same time, though, too, things are kind of falling apart between them. So it is a situation here where I think maybe making the safe move to some degree could maybe work out here for Leah. Especially if it's a situation where she's able to, follow it up with a little bit of social game here. Because as we see this episode in the eviction, they really kind of centered a lot on the breakdown here of Chelsie and Cam's relationship. Uh, just because Chelsie thinks all Cam is doing is flirting with the women, and he literally just entered like the house like last week. So I'm like not sure how you could like come to conclusions so quickly here, Chelsea. Like, seems like you're like how are you like getting these like first impressions on Cam? Like on like he just showed up here. Anyway, like this brings them to a point where they finally have a confrontation about it, where Chelsea brings this up to him, and they seemingly get over the disagreement, but Cam also realizes how close Chelsea is to T-Core and says that he feels threatened by his relationship, or her relationship to her, with her. So I was gonna say perhaps this vote was gonna drive a wedge between these two, until everyone voted to evict T-Core other than Chemo, and she walked out of Jankie World in a 4-1 vote. Jack, I'll give you the final thoughts here on T-Core because I know you were her biggest fan. Um, what were your thoughts here on T-Core's game? Do you think there was ways she could have prevented this, or just
Oh.
tell me to give us to it straight here, Jack, as straight as you can.
So
In K.
yeah, let's. I mean, we're summing up this week because there wasn't much to talk about outside of like the janky stuff happening, right, and everything going on. It came down to the trio. It came down who has to go. She gets the pity vote from Chemo because they're closer technically than he is with Rubina, and the fact that like at that point they knew who was going home. Everyone knew who was going home. Um. I think when it comes to T-Core, her inability to, and it's not just her this game. Let me just say that we saw Quinn. He literally sent home two of his closest allies, jury member, and to be honest, very lucky to have made it that far. If we're being quite honest, because betraying your alliance twice, that's crazy. That's crazy. Um, Now, T-Core's inability to make a decision that would affect pretty much no one in the house, other than her having one person in the house that would be like, "Oh, I don't really like T-Core that much," and putting up Tucker, her ally at the time. Terrible move. And I know that she was talking to Julia on her way out, and we saw a little bit of the interview. And she was asked, she was like, "Do you think that was like a move that maybe like you regret?" And she's like, I don't really regret it per se. Like, I think everything happens for a reason, so I don't know if it was like the wrong move. And I was like, girl, come on, it was the wrong move. We all saw it was the wrong move. Like, it was terrible. It was a terrible move. Like, it seemed like a good move if it had been intentional, but her intent was never to really get rid of him as the main target of that week, right? Like, her intent was not to make sure that he went home. That was never her intent that week. She said, I guess if he goes home, it's not too bad. But at the same time, she didn't want it to happen, really. At the end of it all, she wanted someone else to leave. And I think we see that is just kind of what happens is she made a bad choice. Instead of making someone upset, she puts up her ally on the block, they go home, and it leads to this whole downfall of their alliance being busted up. We see, even though she didn't like Joseph and Angela that much, like, Joseph goes home, Angela no longer has any, like, I guess, great opinions of T-Core in the sense of like a player. Like, she still likes her, but she's like, well, girl, you've like done me dirty multiple times, so you got to go. So like Angela's going against her, Leah's going against her because she's good with Angela. Like, essentially, the Tucker vote ends up being the thing that sends her home in this game. And instead of accepting that, she's like, well, I don't know. And it's just that thing that people do. They always say, I don't know if I'd say that or if it was really that bad. And I was like, girl, self-reflection, honey, self-awareness. And she's younger too. Let me just say, she's younger. I'm not saying that anyone's perfect. I'm not saying I'd play a perfect game either. But facts are facts are facts, Mary. Like, unfortunately, she kind of decided to throw her game away. And, like, it sucks because we've seen lots of people do that. And it just, she was so beloved by the community, too. They were just all rooting for her. And it was just like that moment, like, we were rooting for you. Like, like Tyra Banks kind of moment. Like I was expecting Julie Chen to come out as Tyra and be like, "I was rooting for you. We were rooting for you. How dare you?" In this
I've
moment,
never
like
yelled at you, girl, like this. How dare you?
right. When CBS producers yell at me like this is because they love me. Like, like I don't think T Court did herself like the greatest job either to like really save herself this week. You know, she was really more concerned about like staying away from people, being in her feelings. And I'm not saying it's not hard. And this week, especially with the Jankie World shit going on, definitely made things harder. But you know, at the end of the game, it didn't. At the end of the day, it didn't seem like she was really there, like playing the game, playing the game. I was like, she's here, but her playing this game felt like Cam playing this game.
Ooh, I don't
Just
know. I
like,
think
oh
Cam might
wow,
be playing a little better, honestly. Like Cam seems at least he makes decisions and is decisive and will,
when Cam gets
you
his,
know.
when Cam decides to take Chelsea's hand out of his ass to stop being a puppet for her, then we can talk about Cam's game.
I
But
think he's
until
probably
then,
waiting to do that later on. I
yeah,
feel that
he
coming.
is.
I feel like it's waiting.
But
But
this
I
is
don't think he
a
needs to. I don't think
this
he needs to be the one to get Chelsea out right now. I think Chelsea is a big enough target that he just let someone else take her out.
Oh no, yeah, like, I agree 100%, but I will not be convinced that he had this idea or this whole thing going on the whole time. I think he's just doing what's comfortable for him. I don't think this is like some mastermind, like, oh,
Oh,
this
for
is what I was doing
sure.
the whole time. Like, no one's thinking that, and no one will ever change my opinion on that, right?
No,
Like,
it is.
but
This is
what
very
he's
much so
doing
like
is
a
working
week to week thing where everyone's like, "I'm just going to adapt in the moment,
1000%.
and we'll kind of see how things go."
It's
And
like
yeah, that
it's
T
like
core move, I
trying
don't
to
think
claim
was.
the.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, it's kind of like claiming like the Sandra thing, but actually not being smart like Sandra from Survivor. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, the T core thing you were saying.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I do agree with you. I do think the Tucker move was by far, without a doubt, the moment where everything went the crap for T4's game. Um,
Oh yeah.
I can't defend it. I don't see like I'm really gonna have a hard time thinking like who had the worst HOH between both the Quins and hers, just because they were all three equally bad. I think so. Cedric had a really bad one too. Like there were so many bad HOHs this year. Like trying to rank them is going to be like a thing. I don't know if I'm going to do that because I don't think I have the time.
It's Quinn's. It's his HOH
I don't
people let her go down.
know.
It's
I don't
Quinn's.
know. There's just so many justifications for so many people. Just so many bad moves. Just and T Core's problem is she was just not playing a move, or you have to be self-interested in this game. You have to be willing to get a little blood on your hands here, and she was just refusing to do that by trying to people please everybody. And it's just like you can't do that in this game. That only gets you so far. You have to at some point make decisions that are beneficial for you. And I just think Decor was unwilling to do that. Maybe had she won power in the last few weeks, we could have seen something different here. But girl, she was the first one out of HOH. So, nope. Um, Doug, though, um, in memoriam for your draft team here, I'm going to give you the final words here for Miss T-Core. Go ahead and lay her to rest.
Uh, I think she was the victim of a very, very bad move on Leah's game because she should have been up there with Chelsea at least. And it would have been down to Angela to see who goes home,
I mean,
which
Angela
would
still
have
may
been
have voted
interesting.
out T-Core too.
Yeah, she may have. We just don't know. Cam could have voted out Chelsea there as well.
I doubt
I
that.
don't. I
So,
just feel like that
go.
that this if Leah goes home next, this could also go down as one of those worst HOHs.
So, what I'm hearing from Doug is he's also in just disillusion, just like T-Core is about the move. Okay,
Bro.
get you, get you. Okay, that's fine. Doug, I'll still never forget the day that you said that the Yankee swap competition needs to be done completely blind. Um, because of that, I think that's a justified reason why you're the first person out of our draft.
Hey, the anonymous heard me. The anonymous heard me and made it into a challenge. So
See, so that's. I mean, the anonymous is just a completely another amazing concept of the show. Like, how many episodes are left of that? We need to like. I need to just jump back in
um,
and like
I don't think
do that quick.
I don't think it's even halfway done.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
like
we could do
episode
like a
6, maybe.
we could do a mid-season recap of that at some point because we definitely need to. Hopefully, Big Brother will. I mean, I don't want to say hopefully it'll end soon. I'm greatly much so enjoying the season. It's been such a fun ride, but I'm just like 3 episodes a week, girl. Like I have 50 other shows to need to watch right now. But for the first time we're actually watching and recording on finale night, so yes, give ourselves a round of applause. Um, so we don't actually have, really any spoilers to discuss here this week. But we do have two fun small things that we could talk about. Like, for example, they had a household live for us, so it was one of those stacking competitions where they put like the random objects on top of each other. Who do y'all think has the best chance to win this?
Angela.
Honestly, based on what it looked like, Angela was doing really good work. I did
Yeah.
see that Cam was trying to figure out how he could stack all the worms on top of each other without creating any imbalance, and he was taking those down and like, let me see if I can like put these on last as like a final move to like really add up the amount of pieces of candy he gets stacked or whatever it was. And I see them all trying, but a lot of the people are using these big ass shapes at the very bottom that aren't like shaped well. So I'm rooting for Angela right now because she's got a concept, she's got a plan. I don't know, and I'm ready for Rubina, but her and Chemo winning, we're
That
gonna
would be
have to
great.
hope that they know and they learn something this hour. But this season does not have a lot of rocket sciences here. Like none of them rocket scientists be on this cast right now. Like I'm sorry, I love y'all, but it really seems like there is a disconnect in the logic being used in this game by every single person.
I already know Chemo or being a HOH will probably mean Leah and Angela go up.
hmm
If that is the case, that's embarrassing.
But then
I don't
Angela's
know.
gonna win.
Chemo might be able to talk Angela or get rid of Angela being an option since he was just saved. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they go after Chelsie still. Like I think they know that the Chelsea MJ Cam alliance needs to go. I hope, I pray every single day that these people wake up.
I don't know what's bigger, the threat of the Chelsea Cam MJ trio or Rubina's hatred of Angela.
Well, Rubina also hates Leah now too. So oof. Like I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, and Rubina does have a thing with MJ now, actually. So, ooh, like
Could,
her, but her and Chelsea actually also talked about how they think they both deserve to be in the top 5. So you know what? Anything is possible. But I do need them to start thinking about who needs to go next.
I mean, I kind of
And
am hoping just for chaos. Let's just put it out there right now. Angela, you will win this head of household. I think it's like what it was an hour, so it's probably over by now.
yeah, it
Angela
Yeah.
has
just
won
ended.
it.
Actually.
Yep. Angela will when the feeds come back on. Hopefully before this podcast goes up.
Prayer circle.
This
Go
is the
Angela.
breaking
Angela.
news.
Angela. Angela. Well, other thing that we have for next week as well too. The first and likely only double eviction of the season. It's finally here. Doug, this will be your first time experiencing one live here. Do you have any thoughts as we head into next week's double eviction?
I hope that the God uh alliance gets taken out by the double eviction. Hope and pray that after I'm gone, that Panelist goes next.
I was gonna say
Well,
now that you are gone here, only myself and Jack and Painless are only have one pick left against Callow's army of 3. How Chelsea, Cam, and Leah? Like, how did she get how how and then Angela,
well, do
which
you
is
want to talk
chaos
about the
option.
HOHs again? Because if we talk about the HOHs again, then you can understand how this came to be. But it's been a while.
They're rigging for Callow's team. How dare they?
uh, I don't see
Hello,
anyone on your team being able
Hello
to win. Well,
secretly
Cam can't win. That's in the
Hello
person.
is secretly a Big Brother producer.
Oh, true.
It all makes sense. That's where she's been on Thursday nights here. Because she's not with a man. She's with the producers. Gasp. Or maybe her man's Quinn. Gasp. Okay. Well, Jack, do you have any final thoughts to close us out tonight? As our final seven will be knocked down to five by this time next week.
So I think the final thoughts. Another week where another person who is afraid to play the game that one HOH goes home in a row. And I think that is a reoccurring theme here in Big Brother is if you don't make moves early on enough, you may live to regret them later. And it's one of those trying to find the balance there. Like, yes, T-Core made a terrible move and she thought like she'd be fine. We saw the person she sent home, Tucker, who he was making moves early in the game and maybe a little too early, which is probably what kind of got him sent home to some extent. Other than just him being put up by his alliance member. But you know, it goes to show that there is a balance in this game. And her and Quinn, I think, looking back on it, T-Core and Quinn really suffered from the exact same thing of not knowing this balance. And even though they were so wildly different in their personalities, like T-Core seemed very more reserved, Quinn was kind of really out there. They just kind of fell both the same trap of like, let me try to play safe, try to keep other people happy. And keeping other people happy is not what you're in this house to do. You're here to play the game. And I know I'm not a person who's played the game, so I know people are gonna be like, you know, well, you never played, so. And I get that. I get that 100%. But as someone who's watching from like the third party view, we're like, if you had actually played the game and maybe gotten a threat out your week, uh, things could have gone well. Same with Quinn. If he hadn't been afraid of just putting up only people that he wasn't working with for real, wouldn't have been an issue. You know, he would have gotten people out. At the end of the day, the HOH has the supreme power to decide exactly who's going to be on the block. And that means whoever you're placing as your nominees and your replacement nominees have to be people that don't benefit you or benefit you the least out of every single other person in the house staying. And unfortunately, I think that like idea kind of got lost for a lot of people this season. And it is interesting. It's very interesting because one of the only people who have had successful HOHs, in my opinion, have been, you know, Angela and Leah. I think her HOH was a success. Whether it was the best move, maybe not. But I do think it was successful because she still got someone out who was a threat to her game. I mean,
You
we'll
throw
see what
Chelsie in there
happens.
too. Chelsea had a very successful
Oh,
HOH, so there's
yes,
no
yes,
question why all
sorry.
three of them are still why they're all in there.
Yeah,
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 for sure.
no, totally. It explains a lot, right? Like Matt was Angela's number one, got her out. Leah got out someone who definitely wasn't going to keep her till the final three at the least, and no matter what she did, so at least it was successful. You know, Chelsie got someone out that everyone in the house didn't really like, and it was perfectly fine for her to get out someone that people didn't like because then she didn't get that much blood on her hands, and people haven't been going after her, right? She was on the block, what, once, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
And now she hasn't been on the block again yet. People are starting to wake up and see that she's a threat, but like the idea is not just to create peace, but you have to create a path forward for yourself in the game. And I think that balance, like I was saying earlier, is where our first two jury members really kind of failed at getting their game going. So I'm excited to see what happens next,
Well
especially with the
said.
double eviction.
It's very true, especially with the the fact that I don't think there's any. It's no surprise that the correlation there between if you've had a successful situation, you're still in the game, and if you haven't, you're out. I makes perfect sense here. I mean, I think when you have power, it's very few and far between that you can guarantee that you're ever going to win again. I mean, T Court never won again after her head of household, and she didn't use it to her benefit, so she didn't really do what she should have done to set herself up in the position where she could go accomplice this time without a win, to go this long in the game. She needed someone else clearly that could have helped her win competitions. So um, I'm sad for T Core. again, she had everything in her. She had it. There was a time I really saw T Core just being crowned the winner here. But that leaves the field really wide open for anybody else at this point. And hopefully, maybe Angela as well too. But you know, whatever happens here, y'all. As always, I can't wait to see how it turns out. And as always, I hopefully you can either, especially if you made it this far into the podcast, y'all. Thank you again so much for listening. And as always, please like and subscribe because it lets us know that you're enjoying the content. Be sure to catch all of our continuing coverage on Big Brother 26, Survivor 47, and Global All Stars, and so much more. There's just like 50 shows airing at this point right now, so we'll definitely do our best to get some coverage and reviews on all of them as much as we can. But, until we see y'all next time. And on behalf of my co-casters, Doug and Jack, this is Renegayde signing out. But remember to keep spilling that tea, y'all. Bye!
Jankie. Jankie, Jankie,
No!
let's party.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Learn something from this.